Hello there, Joanne. Joanne, you asked the question, how do I improve in my business and how do I handle new business? So I've been told by three or four of my business coaches now to not answer these types of questions online, to actually try to sell somebody and get them into a DM, to get them to buy into my program, my branding program. It's called My Power Story. And it really is getting to the baseline and asking questions, because how do I improve in my business is really generic. And to answer that appropriately, I need to know what your business is, who your customers are, what your plans are, what your goals are, what you plan to build with it. And when you ask, how do I handle new business? Well, we're going to have to actually dig into that really deep to figure out what's going on in your business. What are you experiencing? Are you chasing dead ends, or what has worked for you in the past that you can really narrow down and focus on just that one thing to keep business growing, and really to determine when it's right to hire new people and do all these things. So there's a lot of questions we have to get down into the nitty gritty to find out. But since I don't have that information, since I'm a bad salesman, I'm not going to try and sell you my group. If you, or my services, my program, if you're interested in that, you can sign up for it. You can go to thinktankcreative.net and check out My Power Story. I've got a cat down in my lap. Sorry. This little orange tail is going to keep popping up every now and again. She loves to sit here while I'm talking on the video. So what I'm going to do for you is give you one big idea that has 10 different parts to it, okay? And I'm going to give you 3 books to read. So one big idea and 3 books. And for anybody that's watching this, this applies to pretty much any business. And I would say at all the different stages of the business, this one big idea. And anybody who's running a business, these 3 books are fantastic for you to read, to pick up great new ideas, to figure out how to scale and make things easier. So actually, let me start with the books, because that is an easier place to actually start from. So the books I'm going to tell you to read, I've got them here in front of me, and I'm just going to hold them up, is one is Built to Sell. Built to Sell is all about figuring out the core necessities for your business and setting it up in a way that it starts to grow automatically, that things become systemized and processes get in place so that your business becomes more efficient and able to take on more customers, able to do things repeatedly, and you can feel confident getting to a point and writing a plan that helps you sell the business to somebody or somewhere at some time. I really like that book because it's a very easy read. It's very fast read. It really does break down some of the stages. Really, it comes from a storytelling perspective of this guy working on his business, working with a business coach, and the business coach informing him, here's the steps you need to take to stabilize your business and then get it to a point to sell, and really positioning your business in a way that somebody who is buying businesses says, that has a lot of potential. I would like to buy that business. So that's a great one. The next book I'm going to recommend is The E-Myth Revisited. And the E-Myth, I used to think E-Myth was like a entrepreneur and, well, it stands for entrepreneur. I used to think it was like the E-Myth, like online business, like e-commerce or something like that. And really what this book is about is coming from the position of a business owner. What are you actually doing? See, there's a few different positions as a business owner that you could be working in. The first position as a business owner, imagine that you are a baker. And as the baker, you wake up at 3 a.m., you go into the shop, you sort the flour, you prepare the sugar, the eggs, and you make cakes and you make breads. And by noon, you are exhausted, and hopefully you've sold out most of your inventory and you can go home. But at that point, you are working in your business day after day after day. And if you enjoy that, great. If you don't enjoy that, what is your alternative? You can hire employees, but if you don't know how to manage, then those employees are going to have to watch you, or you're going to have to find a manager who teaches them what to do. And it may or may not be how you would do things. So that's the other level, is sort of being a boss but disconnected, or being one of those middle people who's telling other people what to do. The highest step really is coming at this from a position of again, systems. You notice this whole word coming in again, systems and processes. The idea is to come at business, your business, as like it's a machine, and it's got little cogs and little wheels. And the more that you can set up a machine and say, again, let's think about that baker. As a baker, you say, okay, I am the boss of the business. Here's how it runs. We get up at this time. The employees show up at this time. This is how they crack eggs. This is how they sift flour. This is how we mix the ingredients. This is what temperature the ovens go at. Like, it's spelling out all of those different pieces of what you do in such a specific way that you can hire out and have other people do those things. And management is easy because you have these systems in place that they can reference. And they have different terms for that. This, like, the owner, the mechanic, and the architect or the engineer, right? It's different ways of looking at the business. Ultimately, most business owners want to get to the point of working less, enjoying their life more, and having the business run automatically. And the way you do that, and this sort of explains that, is by creating these systems so that other people can take over what you're doing and manage the processes, manage the systems, which automatically, because they're systems and the people manage the systems, results automatically happen as they're supposed to. Now, those are sort of like learning about how a business machine works and putting it together and understanding how to sort of look at it from the outside so that someone else might be interested in it. But what if you need help actually creating a system? What if you don't understand what that means? Well, the last book, Work the System, is just that. This guy was running, I believe it was an answering service company, something like that. And he had this epiphany one day because he was working super long hours in his business every single day, essentially figuratively putting out fires, right? When you're working in the business, especially if you have several employees, something goes wrong on somebody's plate. And as a business owner, you want to step in and fix it, or you want to step in and do things. Well, if you have the systems in place, then it's easier to know where to find the answers. And this book by Sam Carpenter essentially breaks down, here's how you make those systems. And we call them SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures. It's the systems, it's the processes, it's what you go through or what your employees go through to make things consistent. And I really like this book. The guy speaks in a very efficient, very normal kind of person way. It's not super high level. And he really breaks it down. It's like, look, you don't have to do this work if it's more than you. His company had several people in it, and he says, look, all you have to do is get them to write down what they do on a daily basis and compile all of that. And then every so often go through and refine those and improve them. And in that way, you have an SOP system that continues to evolve, continues to grow, and honestly, it continues to get more efficient over time. The way our brains are wired to examine our work, examine what we do, we try to be as efficient as possible. That's just the way that our brains are wired. So using his methodology, it really makes sense because it helps us move forward. So the one big idea that I want to take and give you, like, here, I'm giving it to you, is this concept. In Japanese, it's called Kaizen, or Kaizen. I've heard it both ways. And it's the idea that just start, make a system, a process of what you're doing, create some clarity with it, and continue to take steps, improving little bit at a time. And there's the 10 principles behind Kaizen. I've got this on my screen over here. Let me pull it up. The 10 principles are: never stop. So there is an area of improvement in everybody's life, no matter how successful they are. And so never stop, just continue, little bits at a time, little steps at a time. 2, eliminate old practices. Let go of former habits, even if they seemed to have some benefit at the time. Let them go, because old habits are built on old knowledge. And as we gain new knowledge, our brains sometimes don't want to update. So it's important that we say, okay, here's the chance where we can review, let go of the old and continue with the new, and then make small advancements of it. We actually make exponential growth within ourselves and our business by examining old processes and eliminating it. 3, be proactive, right? Stop hesitating because of possible hurdles, and just move forward. And that's Work the System will say, use that in terms of your systems. Be proactive, schedule when you're going to stop and review things. But just pretty much anything else, take a first step towards it. Reach out and call somebody, reach out and take a step. Whatever that step is, it's good because it's moving in a direction. Number 4, don't assume new methods will work. Things should be tested and implemented. This is, you may or may not be familiar with Roy Kroc. Roy Kroc is the owner of, or the founder of McDonald's. And Roy Kroc had this idea of a test kitchen where he set up a test zone of what his restaurants would look like and how they would function. And he tested new methods all the time. And if it worked, if it proved successful, he would then send out to the franchisees and all the rest of the restaurants, here's what I want you to do. Here's how I want you to set it up. Here's how I want you to change. But he always tested. So you don't assume that something's going to work. Make small tests to verify it. And marketers have really embraced this in this day and age through A/B testing, through different headlines, through all these different things online, that they are able to quickly see through data what's working and what's working best. Number 5, make corrections. Recognize the areas in your life that you can use improvement and make relevant corrections to help you progress. How many times do you keep doing something even though it's not the best thing for you, right? How about, let's go back to be proactive, eliminate old practices, make corrections. See, all of this is just helping us. The numbers are pointless because it's just saying, look, keep making improvements. Every single day, examine what could be improved, take those steps. Number 6, empower all employees to speak up. This is sort of the same thing at Work the System says in terms of, when people are in their jobs, they are doing something, they are actually creating efficiency in their position. So let them speak up, let them make some of the choices. If you give them purpose, objectives, and goals that are large and focused and direct, then they can help give you feedback and help get you to where you want to go when you allow them to speak up. Number 7, crowdsource, right? I love what this says. Learn from other people and get some new ideas on things you could add to your routine, your business, or whatever to create continuous improvement. So just ask around. What are you doing? How's that working for you? What else could I add, right? It's fantastic. Number 8, practice the 5 Why method. The 5 Why method is a branding marketing tool, and it's also a business strategy tool. I've used it multiple times. It's also a psychology tool. It's asking a question and then going, okay, why? And I know a lot of people can get kind of annoyed with this, but you just ask why, and you ask why 5 times to really get to the deeper answer behind things. Because a lot of times we don't allow ourselves to recognize the deeper answers. We stop at 1 level or 2 levels because it requires work. It requires introspection to actually find the deeper answers of why we are doing something. Number 9, be economical. Consider specific things you can save money on each week and stop buying them. Any ways that you can make life more economical, more efficient, more savings. This is where do you put your focus? What do you prioritize? What do you maximize? What are you trying to gain? And looking at everything else and going, look, if you have to sacrifice something, what do you sacrifice to move forward the things that you want to move forward? And the last one is don't stop. So many people reach a point in their lives, in their business, in their crafts, in their arts, in their hobbies, where they just stop. They feel like giving up. They feel like it's too hard. And really, that is the point in life where we have to double down. That is the point where our neuroanatomy, no kidding, your brain is actually saying, look, I don't think that spending time, that spending energy, burning calories to do this thing is as efficient, because I'm very confused about our priorities. And brains function on contrast. So it's always looking around you at different priorities. It's looking where it feels that you are behind. It's creating these feelings of tension, of anxiety, sometimes depression, because it's judging. It's just flat out judging. That's what our brains are programmed to do. It's a very Neanderthal programming. It's very basic, but it's judging, and it causes us to stop. It causes us to change directions quickly, to lose focus, to not maintain direction. And really, the principles of Kaizen, it causes us to not keep taking those small steps forward. And those small steps forward are what's going to create exponential growth for you, for your business, for all the things that you're talking about, even getting new business. You don't know until you start taking those steps, until you start being proactive, until you start making corrections, until you allow some crowdsourcing, until you start digging into the deeper questions, until you start creating some systems around things. You're just not going to get there. And this is the way that you really start building that business machine, that you start taking the steps and getting to where you need to go. So Joanne, I hope this is helpful to you. Thank you so much.